All right, let's talk thyroid physiology. See, in order to rid you of those hypothyroid symptoms, we have to know why you're having these symptoms. And the basic blood work you're having ran on yourself most likely is not revealing the problem. And so let's talk about the physiology. It starts with the hypothalamus in the brain, which secretes TRH, thyrotropin releasing hormone. That tells the pituitary gland to secrete TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone. The TSH has effect on the thyroid, tells the thyroid to secrete T4 and T3. Now, 97% of the hormones produced by the thyroid is T4. And this is important because T4 is an inactive thyroid hormone. T3 is an active thyroid hormone. That's what binds to our cells, and that's the moneymaker, if you will. That's what we need adequate levels of in order to not have low functioning thyroid symptoms. Now, it's not over, okay? So first we produce the hormones, okay? Mainly T4. So how do we activate it? Well, that T4 travels to the liver, where 60% of it on average is converted into T3. The remaining travels to the gut, where the remaining 40% is then converted into T3. So looking at T4 levels tells us how well you're producing your hormones. Looking at T3 levels now tells us how much active hormones, how well you're converting T4 into T3. Now, again, it's not over. Now that hormone has to bind to a thyroid receptor site. Every single cell in your body has a thyroid hormone receptor site. This is why the list of symptoms can be so long, is because it affects every single cell in your entire body. So what stops that from binding? Well, the most common thing is inflammation. So for those of you that have Hashimotos, all right, Hashimotos, which is an autoimmune condition, you have high levels of inflammation. So it's going to block that hormone from binding. So you're taking medication, you have enough T4, let's say you're converting it into enough T3, but you can't bind it to your cells. You're still going to have hypothyroid symptoms. High cortisol levels. But I know none of you women are stressed. You don't deal with any stress, right? That's a joke. We all deal with stress, especially women, because you got to deal with your husbands, you got to deal with your kids, you got a job, you got all these things you're dealing with, you're stressed out, cortisol levels are high, so it's blocking the binding of those hormones, right? Estrogen dominance, there's different things that can block the binding, high cortisol and high inflammation being the most common. So if you're not looking at that entire pathway in your blood work, how do you expect to get well? Unfortunately, most of your doctors are not running those labs. So number one, you need to understand the physiology. Number two, you need to have the proper lab work done to look at all those steps to find out where your problem is.